Where'd the music go?
I
Hello,
love
everyone.
that tune.
Hey, if you're looking for the My Project Hell live webcast, then you've come to the right place at the right time. I'm Kelly Schockler, and for the next 20 minutes, my partner Paul and I are going to cut through the business mumbo jumbo and talk about some real solutions for some real project problems.
And I'm Paul Thompson. And in this episode, we'll begin with our usual share of our thoughts, ideas, and project hacks in the hot topic area. In the middle, we have invited a project manager who's got a problem that she's going to explain, and we're going to see if we can help her out with a few experience shares and some ideas. Now, we do want this to be interactive, so throughout the program, we encourage you guys use the chat in order to share your thoughts and feelings back and forth with everybody. And if you have any specific questions for Kelly or I, put those into the Q&A. And if we have some time, we'll get to those at the end. So Kelly, what is our hot topic today?
Well, Paul, surprise. The hot topic for this episode is don't just complain about the problem, talk about the solutions. So, we all know as project managers, one of our responsibilities is to do something to resolve the project issues that come up during the project life cycle. It's a lot of what we do. Sometimes it feels like it's all I do, right? Run from project buyer to project buyer, hence the name of our webcast. And it's what we've seen some project managers do because how easy is it to just take your issue and lob it over the fence to your sponsor, your manager, another stakeholder? Dear sponsor, the business analyst doesn't understand the work they need to do and they're behind on their deliverables. Or, dear IT director, that vendor is dragging their feet on keeping to the design schedule. Or, dear VP of product, we underestimated how much compost we're going to need to fill the 5 million widgets. And now we don't know where we're going to find more in this crazy supply chain shortage. So, something along those lines, which at the core, this is really just complaining. It
Mm-hmm.
doesn't solve anything,
Right.
right? Except we're setting expectations that the manager or the sponsor or the VP that they need to roll up their sleeves and they need to solve it themselves. So you've just brought awareness to the issue and that's about it. And maybe you picked up the label of being a complainer PM. What do you think, Paul?
So absolutely. I kind of refer this as to the, fix it mommy, fix it daddy problem, right? It feels like when I'm on the receiving end of a PM coming to me, right, going, here's the problem, usually a couple of things I struggle with. One, they haven't really synthesized what the problem is, right? They're just
Oh,
giving
yeah.
me a surface take. And then two, they're not offering me what have you thought can solve it, right? Bring me a solution. Now, I'm not expecting that a PM has to have the technical skill sets to solve technical problems, but they do have the ownership of getting the team together, putting together some brainstorming, synthesizing some ideas, and articulating them into a small plan, right? To present. And you might present two or three options, right? To your project owner. Here's the problem. Here are the two or three options that the team and I have come up with and pros and cons of each because nothing's ever perfect. And then your owner can help choose or take one of those and go, well, you didn't know this, but I just got a bunch of money from another project that we finished up and we can move that over into here so we can just buy our way out.
Every PM's fantasy.
Right.
Yeah.
But at least that way, your owner knows you've come at this with more than just whining, right? I'm not here to just, yeah, it's raining outside. What do you want me to do about it?
Yeah, so good point. When you're looking at bringing your project problems into the spotlight, do some research on the possible solutions that you can share alongside the issue. Or at least, you might need some time to do that. Let the right people know, hey, yes, aware of the problem, and we're working on recommendations. And Paul and I both have templates in our resource libraries. Paul calls his one pager. I use something called an SBAR, situation background assessment recommendation. They're similar, and you can find them on our websites, metagire.com and kellyschockler.com. But back to doing the work up front. Tee up the possibilities. Your stakeholders are customers, whether that's your manager, your sponsor. You're providing your customers with customer service. And that means figuring out how to best serve them to get the project done. That's one of your critical roles.
Yeah. And especially if, you want to move up, right? Because customers always want that same PM helping them that solved their problem or help make their job easier for owning a project. So you're absolutely right, Kelly. Um, Everybody should be looking at this for how can I do it? How can I use the S bar, the one pager to organize my thoughts, present options, and then work with your project owner. So
Yeah,
yeah,
I think that'll set you apart as a PM.
yeah. Don't be fix it daddy, fix it mommy.
Fix it, daddy.
All right. Well, hopefully folks will be able to use those ideas to help. Today, though, we've got Jessica, and there's some scheduling problems occasionally. I guess everybody doesn't have 11 o'clock free on a
It's
Thursday afternoon.
true.
But Jessica did volunteer to record her discussion. So let's listen to that before we get into it. All right, Jessica, tell us a little bit about your situation and the problem you're having.
Sure. So I work at a nonprofit here in Portland, and this past year, one of our focuses has been our DEI work. So our board of directors and our executive team decided they wanted to start a committee where we brought together some community partners who we serve and get down into the thick of it and figure out how we can serve each other better. And one of the issues that has come up as we've gotten this project off the ground is communication style. So for our board of directors and executive team, they are a bit older than our staff, and they really prefer the video and phone communication route and have been making some calls without putting any notice before them and putting some time on the calendar for video chats without getting everyone's availability for that time. Whereas our staff, who is in general a bit younger, our average age, I believe, is somewhere around 25, really heavily prefer the email communication and the Slack communication. So as we've been working through getting this committee put together and started, we've had a bit of a disconnect because our staff members really want to have that communication in writing so we can look back on what we've done already and what's already been communicated to the executive team, the board, and the staff. And then we don't really have as much documentation about what goes on in those side phone calls and those meetings that get put on. So we are just kind of looking for a way to figure out how best to meet everyone's communication needs and meet in the middle somewhere so everyone is happy as we continue through this project.
Sure. Are there any things that you've tried so far to kind of bring the two groups together?
Yeah, so one thing that we have started doing is having us take meeting minute notes as we do any video calls or phone calls. But the issue that we've found with that is we've been uploading our minutes to some shared folders, like a Google Drive or a SharePoint, and then those end up living in different spaces, whereas the emails are still living in our email boxes and our Slack channel is still living on Slack. So we still haven't really found the space where everyone feels like they always have all the information they need from the last time we met or whatever's happening next in the project.
Okay. Tell me a little bit about your board. Now, are these full-time people or part-time and older, you said?
Yeah, so our board is part-time, our staff and the executive board is all full-time. And then our board of directors are mostly retired teachers or librarians or early educators of some kind. So they're mostly around retirement age. And another thing that's kind of been an issue that's come up for us is that the sort of generation gap idea is part of the DEI work we really want to work on within our organization. So it's something that we really want to not ignore and really face head on as we move forward so that we can get to this better place of communication.
Okay. So it's probably fair then to kind of sum this up as you got a bit of a generational gap in the styles of communication, and each group sort of has a channel that they're comfortable with. They're not really meshing well, and you want to see how you form them together or how you can at least get everybody into a single channel and bring all the communication together.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. We're absolutely a great great situation, and certainly if you solve this, you'll be phenomenally ahead.
Great. Can't wait to hear what you guys think.
Okay. All right. So I love this topic because it's not situational. Everybody runs into it. Everybody has run into it. And I can't wait to hear, Kelly, what are some of the things that you pulled out that you might be able to help Jessica with?
Well, I love that Jessica joined us in the Coaches Corner today like this, and especially being in the nonprofit sector, which is a sector that I work with a lot. And so what I love is that Jessica is aware that the very issue she wants to solve for is something that her initiative or program is seeking to address: diversity, equity, and inclusion, DEI in this case. And trying to figure out a way to include that change resistant older bunch and help the younger staff have a little patience and understanding to meet them halfway. So I think one thing that makes sense to me, just from my nonprofit experience and realizing that getting consensus and collaboration is super important in that environment, is that Jessica, validate your assumptions about communication preferences and attitudes. I'm sure you've seen with your eyeballs the older board of director crowd, they're not using Slack and email very well. They're gravitating toward these ad hoc meetings with little notice. They're not capturing anything about the meetings and maybe not using SharePoint the way it's meant to be used. But really, what are their real attitudes about these tools, and your staff too? So, maybe they are open to using the tools, but they have no idea how this works, how to use it. So what if you did a quick 5-question survey of your stakeholders, all of them, to help inform you the best platform to use and how the other tools might fit into your communication planning. And you can also get a lot of information from a quick survey like this to help you with some change management planning. So this survey is an opportunity to create some initial trust building with all of your stakeholders. When you ask for input, it says that you care, right? And that you're getting the info also to move forward and to shape that change management strategy. So I find that validating my assumptions like this is a valuable first step. And then once you get your decision making done on the platform to use for primary communication and document storage, the second thing I'd say would be a good move is to create a project team norms agreement for the program with your stakeholders. And this is something that I do with every team, literally every team I work with. In your situation, you could include the parameters around how meetings are created, how the decisions and notes are captured in the posting of these documents, and the general communication pathways that your team will adopt. So it's explicit and there's no confusion at all.
So excuse me. So Kelly, I know not everybody on our podcast knows about Agile Manifesto, but one of the number one values it has is communication over tools. So how does your team norms concept, because I haven't used it, how does that sort of take it away from the tools and into the communication?
So this is a communication tool, right? This is a way that you bring that consistency and consensus. And I'm glad that you asked this. So I have a draft template that I customize for each project and team I'm working with. And then I bring that to the table for review, usually at a kickoff, get input and agreement or sign off. It is not enough to draft something up yourself and say, this is what we're doing. That defeats the whole purpose. So the success of this concept is really dependent on team reviews, has opportunity for input, and then the agreement that this is what we're going to do. This is really the backbone of the forming of my project teams that I've used as a lead PM, and it prepares the groundwork for successful teamwork when the going gets rough, and it will. I mean, it already has, right? So this helps get teams through the storming process. And
Ah, yeah.
Jessica, I do have a team norms agreement template that I can send your way. So that's what I would do. I would focus on getting some information from a quick survey, and then the team agreement. And then, Paul, I think I would try to find a strategy for the change management piece. I think
Good
that's
point.
important.
Yeah. Because so I see this really as a change management issue, really. And it's a long game kind of situation, right? You need to be thinking about the next project and the project after, and how the culture is going to shift to make this DEI more more cultural than just force fitting it in. Um, I can go back, to the beginning of my career. General Motors was my client. We're putting in a ticketing system. Their guys were used to, call up, hey, I need this. I need it by Wednesday. Let me know when it's done, right? Um, but that wasn't working. We put in the ticketing system. Everything should have been good, right? Central location for collecting our information, all the things that we needed. But everybody still kept calling. It was just a disaster when it came to getting them to use it. Um, but what we found was our problem was we weren't thinking like our customer. We weren't thinking like the general managers and the dealership owners. We were thinking like systems engineers that live in this system. So we implemented a few things. We started meeting once a week with our stakeholders to kind of just build the relationship, but also help the transition, right? Where is it stumbling? How come you pick up the phone instead of do this? We found that what you referred to, I love this, you call it elbow support, right? We help them fill in the tickets themselves. So when they called, we're like, great, let me bring up the system. Let's fill out the ticket, make sure you're good. We brought everything to a single pane of glass, right? There wasn't this hunting for, where did this go? Where did that go? No, bring it all together, good set of portal, good set of links to get to everything. And then biggest thing, we started talking in terms they understood, right? Not system integrations or interfaces. We started thinking like, what does a manufacturer think? What does a dealership think? And so we shifted our vocabulary, our thought process, and tried to walk a mile in their shoes.
So I like that. And I'm also wondering specifically, I'm curious about what are some things that Jessica could do in regard to her change management strategy?
Good point. Because GM isn't going to help her, right?
Well, the example can.
So the first thing I think Jessica does want to do is understand that your board members are comfortable with Zoom, email, and the phone. So you got 3 methods of communication that they're good with. Your team is good with a lot of the newer technologies. But also remember, her team is living in Slack day to day, right? They probably have 50 different channels, and they've divided all the work up, and they all know where it is. And if you're a board member coming in once a week going, I don't know where the hell something is, I feel like an idiot, I can't do this, you got to help them. You got to help them feel like they know where everything is, right? That by the elbow, here, call me when you want to find something and we'll find it together. They need to think about how can they bring it all into one place, right? Cut down the noise and find the tools that make sense for things. And a lot of times the phone or Zoom will make sense, right? I do love that their thought was taking notes, because I mean, you and I know, right? You take notes at every meeting, otherwise you die, right? Didn't we talk about
Yeah,
that
no,
last
it's
time? I thought
forgotten. It's
yeah,
lost.
yeah. But you should also be sending out those notes, right? We spend a whole module in our training around taking meeting minutes and conveying the right information and getting all of the action items centered, and then emailing them out and then storing them on some place for historical. But you got to take them, you got to share them out, and keep everybody engaged that way. The last thing I think I want to kind of recommend and is the tool Calendly. And I can never, is that how
Yeah.
you put it? I can
Yeah,
never.
Calendly. We both use it.
Yeah.
Both of us do.
It is really good when you've got stakeholders in multiple different email systems, because this will let you hook all their calendars up so everybody can go there and see who's free when. At least that's going to help. And it might be that you, for a while, back to that by the elbow, right? Escort them down the path. They set up a meeting, step on a bunch of people, call them. Hey, we've got a lot of people busy. Let's go look at Calendly and see if we can find an open time slot when everybody can meet. Do that 2 or 3 times and you'll find that, they do get to that self-service.
Yeah. Calendly's awesome, Jessica. You should try it out. Give it a whirl. So thank you again for being in Coach's Corner. And just, we want to say good on you for being aware of the situation and taking steps to do something about it. This is what true project and program leadership is really about. So Paul and I hope there's something here you can use to address your issue. I'll send you a link to that team norm agreement. And we really would love to know how this turns out. So drop us an email at myprojecthell@gmail.com and do let us know.
Yep. How are we looking at time? Do we have any opportunity for questions? I'm guessing by Caitlin's My Project Hell banner, the answer is no.
That's a big no.
Apparently it is time for us to wrap up this episode. And I do hope everyone enjoyed it. I hope, Jessica, you saw some value in some of the things we talked about. Remember, guys, you can always catch any of our episodes over on our YouTube channel. You can also check out Kelly and Mai's website. Hit us up. We each offer a 30-minute consultation if you'd like to talk about communication tools, styles, or anything else that you need help with. We're happy to be there for you.
And we hope you'll join us for the next episode in a couple weeks, where our hot topic will be on project managers as the sacrificial scapegoat. And you definitely won't want to miss our Coach's Corner, where we're going to jump in with another PM's Project Hell and help them find a way out of their flames. Quick reminder, please take our survey at the end of the session, or you can access it using the link in the post-show email, and we will see you next time. Thanks for joining, everyone.